friends. Welcome today to Sacred Ceremony Art Therapy with Not Your Common Shaman, me, Liz. Today is special because it's really my first installment on this channel, and we are going to talk a little bit, just briefly, about my bird's eye view life story, failing marriage into spiritual awakening, that blew my third eye wide open, and I found out I am a medicine woman, a shaman, a galactic badass, and I am actually a direct channel to the divine. So I am going to tell you a little bit about what I learned in my spiritual awakening, how I have been healing myself, how you can heal yourself, and I'm going to tell you some really fucked up shit about the universe. Well, not the universe, mostly about Earth and what's been happening here, and most in particular America. And I'm going to do it in this real gentle Bob Rossi kind of way, so that it doesn't feel like I'm assaulting your ears as I'm telling you. Just trigger warning that the aliens are real and they're all part of it. So if that's too much for you, you should probably just skedaddle right now. And if that's your vibe, and you found me because it's your vibe, then stick around. We're gonna have a little chat in a sacred plant ceremony. I have already opened sacred space, which is something else we'll talk about on other days, and I will teach you how to do that for yourself too if you don't already know how. But I have touch base, invited in my spirit guides, my angels, my ancestors, my higher self, all of the highest love and light to be with me and guide me as I speak to you today. We're inviting in Mama Cannabis, Santa Maria, to be with us, because I'm pretty much just, I'm really just kind of like weed in human form. That's my biggest connection to spirit, the way that I connect to spirit most heavily. Hang on, I gotta turn this down. Let's do a little ambience there. It's very appropriate. But I'm gonna give you quick bird's eye view of some stuff as I work on this. Today we're doing a closing out pieces I've been working on for a little while here. I know this light is not ideal being backlit, but when I am working on canvas or something, I gotta have something right in front of me here. And just I'm a disheveled painter. When you go into sacred ceremony, I don't go in with a plan. I usually go in with an intention, but there's no plan for specifically what I'm gonna do. Stuff just comes out. So I have shit everywhere. I grab for it. I move around a lot. If that bothers you, I don't know what to tell you. Can't do anything about it. That's just how we're doing it here. So tonight I am going to work on finishing out, what's up, buddy? Now my dog's whining. Finishing out a couple of different pieces that have been looming and need closing out. When you start sacred ceremony with an art piece, it kind of doesn't end until you finish it, and even then after that there's still some integration that comes along. But some of these pieces I've been working on, some of them for months, some of them weeks, some of them a few days. So we are going to get cracking on some of these. You'll kind of get to see what I'm doing as we go along, see how they turn out, and I'm going to tell you about some crazy shit while I do it. So bear with me for just a moment, because my dog's now freaking out because I'm talking about this, so we're going to let him out real quick. What's I? Come on. What's I? I know. You know you can't hang out in here while mommy's painting, because last time you walked in the paint and it didn't go well. Okay, come on. I'm going to leave. Okay, go ahead. that. And then this is real life, people. In the process of moving our studio to a storage unit for that very reason. All right, here we go. So, bird's eye view of my life. I know when you look at me, you're probably not like, oh, that's what I think of when I hear the word shaman. That's okay. I wouldn't have thought of myself as a shaman either until recently. If you would have told me, even 6 months ago, maybe 6 months ago, 9 months ago, that I would be here having this conversation with you, I would have told you were delusional. But here we are. So, and if anybody gets upset about this, I live in a state where it's legal and I have a prescription for it. The doctor actually said that I should use this daily. And then I found out I am a doctor. I have been certified by the universe as a medicine woman and a plant doctor. I am a doctor of energy. So yeah, we'll get into all that. Most people from the outside would have looked at me and thought I had a very charmed life. I was a suburban, basic white chick. I mean, seriously. Sorry, I have my staples over here, my non-alcoholic, because I don't drink alcohol anymore. Glass of wine here and there, but California sober, craft mocktail. Most people would have thought I lived a very charmed life. Basic white chick, lived in the suburbs, did ballet, went to private school. You know, living the American dream. Except my parents split up when I was like 9, but before that, it was totally toxic. I grew up with mom's side of the family being raised Southern Baptist, dad's side of the family Roman Catholic, like pre-Vatican II. So, you know, cults. I was just raised in cults, basically. And the fun part was, like, the dad's cult was the opposite of the Catholic school that I went to. So school said what you're learning in church and the Catholic church isn't right, and the Catholic church said what you're learning in Catholic school isn't right either, so you shouldn't listen to either of them. What do you think that does to a 6-year-old? Let's talk about it. We're going to talk about it because we're looking at someone who's worked really hard on fixing that. Anyway, charmed life, religious indoctrination. My mother was an alcoholic narcissist. My dad was the avoidant abandoner. People pleaser. I learned at a very young age that my mother's love was earned based on performance. I needed to be able to provide something to be valuable. Money was really the crux of everything that was important and everything that was valuable. My dad was a serial cheater and an abandoner because he never learned how to speak his mind as a child either, and just learned that, you know, it was easier to stay quiet than to have conflict. And again, the purpose of this conversation right now here is not to dig completely into my family, so bird's eye view. But yeah. So I got raised predominantly by my alcoholic narcissistic mother, who really put on a good show for a lot of people on the outside, and nobody really understood that my house was like a fucking war zone every night. Just waiting to see how drunk mom would be when I got home from ballet or school or wherever, or what her mood was going to be arguments she got in with my dad, whatever. So I did not realize that from a very young age that I was an empath, because I grew up in this environment. The family was just toxic masculinity on both sides, patriarchy in full swing. And I was taught that my opinion didn't matter, that I was to sit still to look pretty, that I was to be seen, not heard. And especially as a child, when I was trying to speak out about the kind of treatment that I was getting from my mother on a regular basis, and pretty much having to like raise myself, I was taught it's not okay to talk about what was happening because it was embarrassing to mom. And it's kind of like, okay, well, why? Well, then don't do it. Why are you going to do stuff if you're going to be embarrassed of it? Don't do it. What a novel idea. But yeah, that's what I learned growing up, that speaking my mind was dangerous. It was not safe. It meant punishment. It meant anger from my mother. It meant all kinds of things. But it just wasn't comfortable. And the multiple times during my life that I did really start to stand up for myself and speak out, there was just, something that came up that told me that wasn't safe. Ooh, you hear those knees cracking? That root chakra's flaring up right now. Yeah, so basically I repeated that cycle in every relationship, through romantic relationship throughout my life, and lots of friendships as well, because I was kind of the Cinderella syndrome, always there to support other women, to make sure that they were getting what they needed, to give them advice, to keep them comfortable, because that's the role that I was in at home. And yeah, I repeated that relationship multiple times, ended up marrying my mom in a partner, saw the red flags, and married him anyway. So, my parents' dynamic, of course, created a lifetime of substance abuse and just completely undervaluing myself, looking for external validation. My mom taught me very early on to give men what they want so that they wouldn't leave you, even though, she tried to tell me to do the opposite, but that was the message that she gave me. And she would say, you don't need a man, but then she would convince me that I couldn't do it on my own, and I needed a partner, and I grew up in a family, in an environment of people who said one thing and did another. And I got really frustrated a lot with just the hypocrisy of that kind of behavior. And I would call out adults a lot on their bad behavior, and it was not accepted very well, I would say, in a lot of situations. And again, that's where I learned at a very early age that speaking my mind was not safe, and that, adult figures, it was a fear-based psychological structure, construct that I grew up in. Everything, the religion, the school, parents, I was afraid all the time. I was in survival mode all the time. But most of the people around me didn't pay attention to it or didn't realize it, and I just kept perpetuating the cycle. So fast forward to the person I'm currently divorcing. Before we met, I had just broken up with the previous narcissist that I was dating, who was in jail, who, God bless him, we were brothers actually in a former life, which I found out in my spiritual awakening ceremony journey. But I delusionally thought he was the one that got away, and I was so wrong. He was just another narcissistic abuser that had me mentally manipulated to believe that he was like a savior for me. And it's like I never learned how to get myself out of trouble in the past. My mom would tell me I had to be independent and stand up for myself, but then every time I needed help or needed to learn a lesson, she would just bail me out instead of letting me learn my lesson. Or if I wanted to make an independent decision, I was somehow prevented from doing so because I didn't know any better. She controlled everything. So I had just moved back home. I had been out of state, was in South Carolina, moved back to Maryland, moved in with my mom, which at the time was hoping to be temporary while I was getting on my feet from this situation. And this was a point where, like, honestly, I had a spiritual awakening that was really starting before this, and I didn't know it until more recently as I have uncovered stuff. But that was really a time when I was like stepping into my own. I was standing up for myself. I was listening to my instinct, trusting my gut, and I'm really just starting to live my best life. And I met this group of people through a friend of mine from high school that still lived here. We started spending more time together when I moved home, and I felt like I really clicked. Also, I've always kind of been like a loner. I feel like all my groups of friends have always been like associated with whoever I was dating, whoever I was friends with. I was just like always kind of a loner, like had multiple groups of friends. There was never like really one group that I just like fit in. Oh crap, dog's up to something. Hear him out there running around. And it was just like nice to feel like I belonged a little bit. Oh shoot, what's he doing? Hey, hey, oh no! Craziness, digging holes. Oh, we should probably put a little Pachamama mud on here, huh? That's why that happened. Shit, where was I? Anyway, group of friends. Loved these people. Good time. Felt like I was fitting in. You know, I was also in a big party phase, and we were all in our like late 20s, early 30s. Living it up before everybody settled down. And met one of the friends in the group who was, you know, the nice guy. And also a massive alcoholic. And, you know, at the time I was a party girl too, kind of. Still with my head on my shoulders, but I was just, you know, having fun. It was funny, whatever. There were a gazillion red flags through this whole relationship. And, you know, it's like one of those situations where, again, I always felt like the mean one if I broke up with somebody because that's what I was conditioned to believe. But you know, all the people in this group were giving him a chance. He's such a good guy. I gave him a chance. He's such a good guy. I gave him a chance. Except for one person. She kept being like, you need to break up. He's showing you what kind of person he is, and you deserve better. And she's actually the only one that's here for me right now. Beside the point. Not the only one. That's not true. But she is one of the few right now. But you know, it's like I'm this bleeding heart that feels the need to adopt everybody's unraised sons and make them better for whoever they have next. I'm Jessica Alba from that movie. What was that movie? Where she's the penguin trainer, where she makes all the guys good for their next one. That's me. That's actually part of my spiritual gift. I'm an activator. So I am kind of like karma for people, where I am here to challenge you to be a better person. And most of them weren't for me because they weren't my person to begin with. I was just a karmic lesson. Here I am. Then learn my own karmic lessons. Anyway. Kept giving him a chance after chance after chance. Breakups, get back together, breakups, get back together. I had finally moved out, and it was just, I caught him making out with our friend's sister at a bar one weekend, which he will sit here until he's blue in the face and swear to you that it never happened. And I watched it happen with my own 2 eyes. And the entire situation that happened after that was literally the universe telling me, like, it was a test, and I failed leaving. I gave him a second chance after that. And shortly thereafter, my mom had a stroke. And at that point, it was a lesson for me, too, to not be responsible for people who won't take care of themselves. My mother had a stroke because she had AFib. She was a alcoholic, and her meds weren't mixing. Well, actually, it's all energy. I know there's more to it at this point, but at the time, this is what I believed. She was an alcoholic. She wasn't taking care of herself. Her meds weren't mixing well. So she stopped taking them. And then she had a stroke because of it. And instead of, I actually had a message from the divine at that point too. I was given a prophetic vision, and I misinterpreted it, and they were pretty much showing me like we were even. It was not my responsibility to take care of her, and I misinterpreted it that I was, bad daughter, and this was my chance to make it up to her. And my spirit guides were like, no. Anyway, so in the middle of me giving this guy a second chance, and my mom going through the stroke, instead of, which should have happened, to someone saying, Liz, you're 32 years old, so this is not a healthy situation. Your mother did this to herself. You don't need to be responsible for her well-being. Everybody was like, let's do what we can. If this is what you want, let's do what we can to support you. And my ex jumped in and said, I will take care of you. I will take care of her. She can come with us wherever. Like, it just ended up being this whole, like, we were, giving it a second chance, and then all of a sudden we're taking care of my mom, buying a house together that she can live in with us, getting engaged, we're married, have 2 kids, and what the fuck? And in the meantime, like, we weren't each other's people. We both had our own issues. I challenged him to be better. He didn't want to play along, and I ended up not approaching him in the way that he needed, because I too was unhealed and still figuring my stuff out. But neither of us had the guts to end it. I mean, when we got married, I got him this beautiful green pocket watch that, with a special box and all this stuff and cute, whatever. Very sentimental, very meaningful. That man got me a Bluetooth speaker. I'm actually listening to it right now. But yeah, for our wedding, he got me a Bluetooth speaker so that I would stop taking his. And then he started taking mine because it was nicer than his. And he had his sister give it to, running around looking for something to wrap it in that day. When I opened that, I literally thought to myself, what the fuck am I doing? Are you kidding me? I'm marrying somebody that has zero depth, zero, the romance was nothing, the affection was nothing. He was like an emotional robot, and I knew it. And I married him anyway because I felt so much pressure to provide for my mom, and that I wouldn't be able to do it by myself. I had left my corporate job to become a personal trainer because I didn't want to work in this soul-sucking environment anymore, and I made no money being a personal trainer. And everybody said you have to have money to be happy and stable. So here I am marrying the stable guy to take care of my mom, knowing that he's not my person, and but thinking that it was like wrong of me to actually be like, oh, I deserve better. I was like, that's how rude of me to think that he's not good enough for me. And it's like, well, bitch, he wasn't. Like, he even now is like, you're too much and you're exhausting. Yeah, I'm too much because you have never been able to keep up with me. You have never been man enough for me. I have literally questioned on so many different occasions, can I marry somebody that I can't have this conversation with? And I did. Ugh, I did. Anyway, I've forgiven myself for that. But I ended up during COVID leaving my job to become my mom's full-time caregiver. I was pregnant with our first child, and we didn't know what was going to happen with COVID. We wanted me to be able to stay home, and me becoming my mom's part-time caregiver and being like paid for that was the only way to do it. I could only stay home with our kids if I made money and provided somehow, contributed somehow financially. Otherwise, I needed to go back to work, which meant I was going to be basically working to pay for someone else to be raising our child and take care. And yeah, before you know it, we had our first. I'm home taking care of her, home taking care of my mom, and we're pregnant with our second, and just in there, like, things just fell apart. And the alcoholism was always an issue. Drunk driving was always an issue. Him staying up late. I mean, half the time I went to bed by myself. I mean, there's just so much related to the alcoholism that was an issue that everybody around us wanted to pretend like didn't exist. But it just, things deteriorated. Things were deteriorating. And his family was very Christian. There's a whole Christian aspect to all of this. When we started dating, it was like a very like, I want nothing to do with you unless I'm drunk and I want a booty call. And I'm like, oh, he likes me. Oh, that's a whole nother conversation. But, you know, instead of continuing to be myself and finding someone, again, that jived with who I really am, I was like, I'm going to be more Christian for him. And it's just the hypocrisy of all of it, of organized religion. These are the people that are supposed to love everyone no matter what, and, you know, thou shalt leave thy father and mother and cleave to thy wife. And it was just, I was second, third, fourth, or fifth fiddle all the time to whatever his mother or his father needed or what they believed. If I had a differing opinion, I had beef with his family. It just, I was the one that was disrespectful. And it's like, well, you know, if you're sitting down to have dinner with your wife and your dad calls, you would think that he would want you to enjoy a meal with your wife after a long day at work and finally getting your kid to sleep. And he would say, call me back later, son. But no, it was whatever he needed in the moment was more important. And I've lived a life of submitting to people for whatever they needed in the moment being more important. And I didn't want to do it in my marriage. I wanted to be important. I wanted to be a priority. And I was, you know, disrespectful for wanting to be a priority over his parents. I was, you know, we have different love languages. Well, that's not my love language, so I'm not going to do that. Well, the whole point of, like, learning your partner's love language is so you can show them that you love them in that way. Anyway, we had all these different things, red flags. It was all falling apart. He was a horrible alcoholic. We get pregnant with our second child, and things just, like, totally shifted. And I was so sick my entire pregnancy. And like, into that, I remember telling him, like, asking him regularly, like, do you even like me? Like, the way you speak to me and the things you say, and, like, you're averse to spending time. Like, I don't even think you like me, let alone love me. And it was just like, no, I love you, blah, blah, blah. But I refused to do anything to change. I ended up in therapy trying to fix everything. I was testy. I was turning into my mother. I realized I was turning into my mother, and I wanted to get into therapy to work through it, fix it. I ended up being put on big pharma meds, antidepressants, which I had been on one time in the past, short term, hoping to help my anxiety because I was just throwing up everything. By the end of my pregnancy, I had gained a total of 5 pounds. My baby was 2 weeks early, and she was an 8-pound baby. And I had gained 5 pounds total because I'd been so sick the whole time. Which I didn't know until after my spiritual awakening was tied to my husband's negative energy. But, yeah, I got into therapy trying to fix everything, masking, and was thinking things were going well, but meanwhile, it's just you're still on meds, so there's nothing's getting fixed. It's just the problem's getting masked. And then when you try to get off the meds, it all flares up again. And it's like, well, yeah, because you're not actually fixing anything. You're just covering it with a med and smiling through it and pretending like everything is happy and okay, and not like you're drowning in loneliness and emptiness, and no one is supporting you. There's no family to come help. There's no village because everybody's too busy with all their own shit and spread out, and which is fine. Everybody's got their own shit, but again, this is not how we're supposed to be living. We're supposed to be in community structures. We're not supposed to be doing this alone. Which you would think that the religious families would be the ones helping with that. But no, they were too busy doing their own shit. Anyway. It got so bad. I had multiple occasions where I sat down and kind of really let it all out. And was like, I don't think you love me anymore. Like, this is... something's wrong, like you can't even talk to me, can you tell me what's going on? And he just shut down, and I'm the one in therapy doing all the work. He's doing absolutely nothing, but I'm the problem, and I ended up just spiraling. I turned into everything about him and my mother that I couldn't stand. I was in a complete spiral into alcoholism. I was so just like testy and overstimulated, constant overstimulation. Again, from a husband gaslighting me, telling me he was in love with me, and doing the exact opposite. Clog up. And also taking care of my mother, who still, while she had a stroke, was still, her narcissistic self of needing to be the most important thing and not being able to understand that, like, hey, I'm struggling here. I have 2 little kids that I'm trying to raise. Like, my marriage isn't doing well. And, it just, like, there was no concept, really, of anybody else's needs or whatnot. Oh, shit. Got it. Don't worry, we're good. Nailed it. So, yeah. After having our second kid, I went like way down the spiral. And then we're talking November of 2024. I started going down the TikTok rabbit hole, following all the stuff about Puff Daddy, and started following Allie Carter and Jaguar Wright and did not realize at the time that really all of this was like resonating for me. I was like just going down this rabbit hole and finding all this stuff, and it was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, there's all this stuff happening. There's all this crazy stuff happening, and I just know it's real. And it was like, I was just completely struck with this, this like overwhelming feeling of like, I am convicted in my heart that I know that these atrocities that I am hearing about are indeed happening. And if you're not familiar with the atrocities that I am discussing, I'm going to talk, I mean, trigger warning, it is child trafficking, ritual sacrifice, abuse, sexual abuse, torture, murder, harvesting of organs, blood, adrenochrome, satanic worship, this is where the aliens come in, however, did I know the aliens were a part of it yet? Then, kinda, maybe, I don't remember yet, there's so much, but because of my religious indoctrination, I kind of looked at it from a different perspective. I was having all these revelations, but then all of a sudden I kind of started having this like fear-based reaction, like I was predicting the apocalypse, but a little bit of like fire and brimstone, but it was also like, hey, we're gonna see some shit happen in our lifetime, but it's okay, we just have to stay positive. Like, there's nothing to worry about, we're protected, we're taken care of. And me starting to talk about this and talk about all these revelations, I was also down the rabbit hole with gematria. If you don't know what that is, we'll have a whole other conversation about that, but it's basically like a coding system. It's a ciphering system, and I was getting like kind of obsessed down this rabbit hole. Everybody started getting like worried, but then me talking about this stuff, everybody's like, she's lost it. Like, there's no evil organizations running the world. Like, we're not in the apocalypse. Like, this isn't lining up with the book of Revelations and blah, 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 blah. And everybody literally accused me of basically losing my shit. And then I did have like an actual fear-based reaction, which in psychology they would probably call it spiritual psychosis. What I know now is that it was a busted third eye, and that my third eye literally blew so wide open at like one time that I was just completely flooded with so much information that I wasn't sure how to interpret, and because, again, of my religious indoctrination throughout my life, was automatically interpreting on like a fear-based pattern. And I suddenly started accusing my ex of sexually abusing our daughter, and that I found out was actually a past life regression memory coming through for me, and I just didn't understand what was happening, and so I was just starting to say stuff that didn't really make sense. He got all worried, called the police. They called my friends. It turned into a whole thing. I ended up doing like a voluntary psych evaluation. Oh yeah, at this point, yeah, I knew about the aliens. Here we go. Alright, so this is where I'm gonna get serious with you, because this is all the stuff that I knew that everybody said I was crazy for, and now I know I'm not. But if you haven't already, I would just go watch like all of Ancient Aliens. If this is brand new information to you, then just go watch ancient aliens first and come back. But I basically had the revelation regarding the fallen angels, the low vibrational extraterrestrial entities that basically usurped control over Earth centuries ago and have been using humanity as a energy source, if you will, harvesting our light, harvesting our energy, harvesting, as I mentioned earlier, our children, child trafficking, adrenochrome. They've manipulated organized religious organizations to worship low vibrational entities. Like when we're talking like blood sacrifice in church and stuff, that's not spirit, that's not source, that's not God asking for blood sacrifice. Christ wasn't sent here as God's only begotten Son to sacrifice himself to save us from our sins. He was here to teach us a way of life, and he made the religious people so uncomfortable they killed him. And he let it happen to prove a point. So, low vibrational dark entities took, you know what, we're going to make this really simple. They were here. They made us slaves. They were feeding off of us. Galactic Federation, the Pleiadians, have been upgrading humanity for centuries as well. And they have been watching over everything. There has basically been a massive galactic war on Earth to ascend Earth's consciousness. We've been selected as a, what's the word I'm looking for? Earth itself has been selected to ascend to a higher level of consciousness. I guess that's the simplest way I'm going to say it right now. And so what I'm going to say about the low vibrational dark entities is they're gone. We're safe now. Okay? So everybody is actually safe to just live their life the way that we're supposed to. And that's what's going on right now. And that's what I was talking about when everybody decided that I was absolutely fucking insane and I had to go to an outpatient psych program. I was deemed unfit, but I realized I wanted a divorce immediately, that my husband did not have my back, that he did not believe anything that I was saying about what was going on, that he literally had negative energy on him. I did have a delusion in there that my ex was my soulmate, and I reached out to him thinking that we were gonna be together. That was part of my fear-based reaction as well. Whoops-a-doodle. Sorry to his wife. We'll get to that because we had a conversation. She and I talked. We're good. It's okay. And yeah, I just started getting called to like look into all kinds of stuff. I did this psych program and they're like, oh, hi, sweetie. You're being psychologically, emotionally, and financially abused in your relationship, and this is not healthy for you. And I kind of went, oh my God, I married my mother, and like started digging into healing some of that stuff. And then as all of that was happening, I did realize like, okay, yeah, no, I'm not crazy. Like I'm literally getting messages from spirit, from ancestors. Like it was just wacky. I wasn't sure what was happening, and it was kind of like scary. It was very scary, but like cool and exhilarating at the same time, but yeah, kind of, yeah, scary. And in this process, I found a medium that was just like totally resonating with me at the time, and went and did. It's like once you have a spiritual awakening, all of a sudden when you're just like answering the call, you just start doing stuff that you wouldn't normally have otherwise done. And here you are, just doing shit like booking plant ceremonies with a medium you found on TikTok. And I did an ayahuasca ceremony, a mushroom ceremony, and a weed ceremony. And golly, people describe having these spiritual awakenings that are these like, oh, it's such a beautiful existence, and I was just overcome with this just feeling of light and peace and calm. I had a spiritual awakening that was like a sucker punch to the fucking face, and it was like, bitch, wake up, you're a shaman, and go. What? Like what? Okay. I learned all kinds of stuff about past life regressions in there. I had a twin flame journey that was starting up, which is part of the reason that the universe was like, that you need to wake up because you're on the wrong path. You're supposed to be over here doing something incredible with this person, and you have been sleeping and you have no idea what's going on because if you've been in this like pattern of empath narcissistic abuse your entire life, and you're also like a galactic baddie, and you're supposed to be here doing some real shit. And here we are. And then that I've been through the last like 2 months of just like dark nights of the soul. I had to get out of my ex's house, cashed out my IRA, and moved out, and I'm living in this 1-bedroom rental, fighting to heal my nervous system, increase neuroplasticity in my brain to detox my body and my mind from all of the poison that is in our world, which I'm going to talk to you about doing as well. And literally going through kind of like a daily shadow work lesson of healing all of my karmic lessons, balancing my masculine and feminine energy, finding my soul's purpose, which I'm doing right now by talking to you, and literally learning some secrets to the universe to share with you guys. So, you know, we're all one. This idea of, I like to call him, I heard somebody else say this, there's a guy on Instagram I've been following that I'll go look up his name and share, but he calls him narcissistic sky daddy, which I love. This biblical God that's been created is indeed a false God, and God's not some dude in the clouds waiting for us to fuck up so he can punish us. This idea of eternal damnation is false to keep people in this fear construct. Like, our loving creator does not want us to be afraid on a daily basis, to literally live the life that we were put on this planet to live. We're here to experience joy and pleasure and community and take care of the earth and take care of each other. And this whole farce of like, we're supposed to get up and go to work every day to make money for a government or for this country, or like, it's just all a manipulation. It's all a matrix, if you will, a psychological construct that you can get out of because it's all in here. And again, I'm going to talk to you about how to do that. That's kind of what I I'm here to do. I've mastered. I actually have learned how to. So my spiritual gift is, I mentioned earlier, I'm an activator. I am kind of like ayahuasca as a person. So I see into the darkness. I see things that people cannot see within themselves. I see imbalances in particular between your masculine and feminine energy. I can link those back to illnesses, injuries that you have manifested as a result of being out of balance in your masculine or feminine energies, or holding low vibrational energy like anger, jealousy, fear, resentment, things like that. Stuff that runs in your family. It's actually not just hereditary because it's a organ-based thing. You actually carry generational trauma in your DNA. Women for up to, I believe it's 7 generations on your mother's side. I've heard that in a couple places. I'm not 100% on that, but that generational trauma is actually in your DNA. It's held within your tissue. And guess what, people? Past life trauma matters too. So if you're somebody who doesn't believe in past lives, there's a whole of trauma in your body. You hear my hip click? That's actually past life trauma from my Native American life, where I died in childbirth and I was not confident in my feminine energy, and it's carried through in multiple lives, and I'm still working on it now. But yeah, that's what I get to do, and it makes people very uncomfortable because I call them on their bullshit. I challenge them to be a better person. I am kind of like karma. I am a challenge to you to accept unconditional love. In all these relationships I've been in, I've looked at every reason to not love somebody, and I've still loved them anyway, and they have found every reason to not love me, or found a way to make me not acceptable, not good enough to take home to mommy, good enough to take to bed, not good enough to take home to mommy. And instead of learning my lesson and finding better men, I perpetually changed myself to be what they wanted. And this is part of the dynamic that we have going on in America right now that has caused all these issues, because the societal structure, these religious structures, we've emasculated our women and put them in roles where they're literally having to do everything. And we've made men, the king of the castle, that you go to work, you put a roof over everybody's head, and that's all you have to do. And you come up with all these dreams and then leave them for your women to just take care of everything. And it's supposed to be the other fucking way around, guys. We are doing our women a disservice, and it's been done on purpose, because women, we are goddesses, we are oracles, we are seers, we are shamans, we are medicine women, we are priestesses, we are the spiritual connection for our families, the spiritual guiders for our families. We're supposed to be coming up with a vision for our family, a vision for a better world, what we want to do and create and nurture, and our men are supposed to protect us, protect our families, protect those visions, make them come to life for us. That's how we balance each other out. And we've totally screwed that up. Western civilization is basically experiment for the elite, for the cabal, for the British monarchy, for the dark entities that were in play. And they've turned us into a slave race where we're just making money, turning into robots because we're sucking in all the media. They're poisoning our food, they're poisoning our water, and we're sending all the monies overseas to fund foreign wars and keep us in a wartime mentality because we just listen to the government and do whatever they want in that case. But it's okay, because they're gone and we're dismantling it. And I know everybody's all up in arms about everything Trump is doing, but I'm also here to tell you that he's in the know. It's okay. Trust the plan, because the level of government corruption that's going to be exposed soon is so fucking astronomical that there's no just like, oh, we're gonna shut down this and it'll be okay, or we're gonna take down this and it'll be okay. Like, this is a complete dismantling, down to fucking brass tacks, burn the house down, start over. And that's what we're doing right now. And it's also a call to arms. We're calling in people to stand up for what they believe in, and weeding out people that are operating out of fear, anxiety, panic, greed, and people that are operating out of genuine love, care for humanity, care for each other, care for the earth. Like, people that stand up for some shit and are going to do something about it. And my entire life I have been calling people out for saying one thing and doing another, and I've been doing the same thing recently because I've had all this information and I've been scared to share it because the people in my life made me feel like they were either going to take my kids away or I'm playing with sharp stuff. I feel like Britney Spears with the knives right now. I was operating out of fear that they were going to take my children away by talking about this stuff and put me in some kind of institution or something, because it's happened to me in past lives. That's why I was so scared. And then it was kind of like, okay, well, you're not the only psychic person in the world. You're not the only person in the world that talks about this kind of stuff or believes in this kind of stuff. And a court of law isn't going to deem you crazy for believing in this and knowing it's real just because you have children. And I was absolutely terrified of my ex and absolutely terrified about coming forward with all this stuff, which is crazy. And so here I am, giving you the lowdown. We're all one. We're all part of one universe. Earth is a school. Souls come here to learn. Duality, the difference between good and evil. There's Earth native souls, but souls from other galaxies, planets, etc. literally incarnate here to learn, to enjoy the duality, the experience of duality of being a human. How can you appreciate unconditional love if you don't understand what pain and suffering is to some extent? But we've gotten to this level where it's this too much. It's excessive. These low vibrational entities try to control everything, but we as a people have raised our consciousness and our vibration enough to be rid of it. We're literally moving to a better place. We are safe now. I'm telling you, you're safe. It's safe now to just be you, and to not worry and to not live in fear. And that's what we're here for. And we're supposed to be exploring our joy. So that's why, while I'm talking to you, I'm doing artwork, because I am an unemployed stay-at-home mom now, just trying to do my part to, enlighten humanity, help everybody feel safe. And that's literally my life purpose, is to share this information with you, to share the channels that I'm getting with you. And again, I can channel extraterrestrials, I can channel your ancestors, I can channel, when I get real into it and focus, but I don't need to, because I myself am an actual incarnated angel. I am a channel. My word to you is actual truth. And I am, again, past a point where I have to prove a lot of shit to people. So I'm not coming to you with oh, here is all the research I've done to show you that this is true. It's no, I'm telling you this is true. Yeah, because I know it's true. And so you can believe me or not. But my overall message is that we're in a safe place, and we're literally supposed to be here to just love each other And everybody that's operating out of any kind of like fear-based construct is just like not the vibe. Like, we're everybody chill. Everybody smoke some weed. I'm here to talk to you about plant medicine. We're going to talk about so much stuff in this channel. But yeah, all the stuff that the government has literally tried to classify as drugs, unsafe, mushrooms, cannabis, is all because they're actually direct connection to spirit. They were put here with a purpose for us to be able to connect telepathically with our ancestors. We're literally all one. We have the ability. I'm telling you that I'm psychic and I have the ability to communicate telepathically, but most of you do too. Pretty much all of you do too. You just were never taught how to use it, and you've been living in an environment that has intentionally tried to keep you from knowing how to use it. So, if you want to stick around and follow me, I am going to share some ways with you that you can also access yours and improve yours. I'm going to share some ways that you can detox your body, which is also part of how you're going to be able to do more of that, and how you're actually going to be able to change your physical body. I, in the last, what month is that? It's April. In the last 5 months, I've lost like 60 plus pounds, 60 pounds. And it's because it's trauma, people. That's part of the deal too, is that your body holds on to trauma, and your tissue and your organs and your fat and your energy affects it. And once you actually start to heal that kind of stuff, your body will start going back to the way that it's actually naturally supposed to. And then you can really start taking care of yourself. So, I am here to help revolutionize how we take care of ourselves by healing our energy, healing our trauma, past, and past. No, present trauma, I mean, it's all in the past, but from this life, from generations before you, trauma you didn't even know you were fucking carrying from your ancestors, and trauma you didn't even know you were carrying from past lives. The shit that I have figured out, again, not the purpose of today, but there's so much stuff we'll dig into. But my point today, what did we discuss? All right, aliens are real. The Galactic Federation has been protecting us. We're safe. The low vibrational entities have been removed. The children are safe. Disclosure is coming, but not all at once because it'll freak people out too much. So just everybody chill. Just know that you're safe and that you're actually in an environment now where you can just like live the life you want. And what I'm here to do is to help show you how to do that by doing it myself. So, yeah, this is what we're going to do, people. You ready for it? Yeah. Yeah, so we're going to get rid of Big Pharma. We're going to revolutionize the medical industry and how we heal our bodies. We're going to bring back plant medicine. We're going to bring back the matriarchy. We are going to revitalize the sensuality and sexuality of women because we actually create from our wombs. Ladies, did you know that when you have an orgasm, your body can actually create DMT, which is a direct, like, you can take it externally from plants and stuff, but you can make it within your body and have actual prophetic vision and direct connection to spirit and your higher self by having orgasms. I didn't know that until recently, and if I had known that, I wouldn't have been faking them for so much of my life. That's another lesson, ladies. Stop faking your orgasms, because you're not teaching them anything other than what a good actress you are, and that it doesn't take much to please women. How was that helpful? So that's something else we're going to talk about too. But in the meantime, we're at over an hour now. That was a lot of information. And there's still so much more to cover, but I feel like that for right now, at this moment in time, is good. I'm not quite done with this, but I need it to dry for a little bit where it is, I think. And oh, where is it? Yeah. Everybody sing, everybody dance, everybody make art, everybody travel. Stop putting off the thing that you want to do because someone else thinks you shouldn't, or someone else thinks it's inappropriate. Because there really is, you are your own judge, jury, and executioner. We are each a piece of the universe experiencing itself. We're all a piece of the Creator. The divine spark is within each of us, and that's your intuition. When you have that gut feeling, like if you think something's wrong, something in your gut tells you it's wrong, dig into that. Why do I feel like this wrong? Is that just my natural instinct? Do I think this is wrong, or do I think this is wrong because somebody somewhere in my life convinced me that this was wrong? Because the answer to that question is important, and you should be trusting yourself, and you should be listening to yourself, and you shouldn't be relying on, how are we going to do this, external sources to tell you the difference between right and wrong, because the Creator gave us that ability for ourselves. It's innately within us, and you already know if you're doing something good or bad, right or wrong, and you can answer that question for yourself. So that's what the powers that be don't want us to know, because then they can't control us. If you're always looking outside of yourself for validation, for approval, for direction, for law, for order, for whatever it is, like what's the point? What's the point in free will? Why would God give us free will if He's going to put all this stuff in place to make us follow? What is unconditional love if there's a whole bunch of conditions that you have to satisfy in order to get it? So just like fucking think. If anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram at Not Your Common Shaman. Comment down below. I'm really just launching this, so I'll share an email address soon. I'm going to be sharing information on stuff I've done predominantly to decalcify my pineal gland, detox my body, sharing some stuff about that on Instagram as well. Keep an eye out for my art therapy blog. And man, what a doozy. I hope you guys are okay with me. I feel pretty good about sharing this. I'll give you a peek at what I'm working on here. There's a couple more little things that that need to go on it, but we're getting there. So thank you for joining me this evening. This was so lovely. I hope you'll be back. I'm excited to share more with you and help you heal. I really went in this journey thinking that I was going to be like building this whole business of like, oh my gosh, I'm a psychic, I'm a shaman, I'm a healer, I'm going to like do all this stuff to heal people. And yeah, Spirit was like, no, you've been doing this for 40 years unknowingly, and it's your time to sit down and teach everybody else how to do it and teach everybody else about their energy. And yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So thanks for being here. Remember to take care of yourself first. That's one of the first of unconditional love, is it is not about sacrificing yourself for everybody else. It is about taking care of yourself as as you would God. You're supposed to love yourself as you love God. God is we are each a piece of God. God is a piece of us, is inside of us. To love ourselves is to love God. When you disrespect yourself, when you don't take care of yourself, it's a disrespect to spirit. It's a disrespect to source. It's a disrespect to humanity, because we are all one. So fucking take care of yourself. Take care of yourself first. Put your oxygen mask on, because you can't take care of anybody else unless you take care of yourself first. Okay? Moms, especially, please. We're going to dig into this, but this is like the moral of the story here. Okay? So, yeah, everybody wake up. Love you. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your bodies. Take care of the earth. And know that it's okay. We're safe. And we're moving into a much, much better, happier time. Okay. All right. Love you. Bye.